Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, Survey Says Employee Self-Care for the Win. And can I just say, as an employee, heck yes. You know, over the past years, we've really started to see this shift to create a whole new set of well-being priorities for employees. And while I think the idea is super simple, where do we even start with executing or even really knowing what employees need? Well, I'm here to tell you that it doesn't need to be a complicated 10-step process to really focus in on the needs of your employees. And today you're going to hear from our client Textron Aviation and how they were able to uncover that self-care was overwhelmingly the top priority for their employees. You'll learn how they were able to listen to them and create a week dedicated to self-care that not only resonated with their employees, but created some really great engagement. You're also going to discover how to secure that ever-important leadership buy-in, implement valuable incentives and social connection opportunities, and then leverage employee feedback for future well-being initiatives. But before we jump in, I just want to start by reminding all of you, while these are challenging times, the disruption that was really created by COVID has really given us an opportunity to create a better workplace. And I hope that today's webinar will give you all some tangible ideas to create new ideas for your employees. So let's jump in. First, I want to start by introducing myself. My name is Julie Mallory. I'm the Senior Events Manager here at WebMD Health Services, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. There's just a few housekeeping items that I want to go over before we get started. First, the session is going to be recorded, so you can go back. You can listen, take notes. You'll be able to see the slides again. So anyone who registered for the webinar will get the recording. You're also going to have time we'll have time at the end for a Q&A session. But if you have any questions that come up at any time, feel free to use that Q&A box that's right there on your home screen, and we'll get your questions as they come in. You're also, at the end of today's webinar, there is going to be a survey that's going to pop up, and we would just ask for you to take about 1 minute of your time and just provide feedback on the information that we shared today. It really helps when creating future webinars down the line. You'll also see we have some additional resources there on your home screen. There's a link to our leadership and mental health blog. Also, fun fact that World Mental Health Day is coming up on October 10th. So we have a World Mental Health Day article featuring 10 things that you can show that can show your commitment to mental wellness, and then also an infographic on employees' mental health that really breaks down why you should care about their mental health. So with that, let's jump on in. Before we hear from Textron, I really just want to set the stage as if we need another reminder, right? The data really shows us that COVID-19 continues to have negative effects on many employees' mental and emotional health. It's also created new barriers for people who are already suffering from emotional and mental health issues. But this is not just mental health. When we think about mental and emotional health of our employees, there's so many other aspects to consider, right? Mental health is only a piece of that. There's anxiety and depression, substance abuse, stress, burnout, lack of social connectedness. Oh my God, I don't even know if I want to really even connect with anybody anymore. All of these factors that can really cause massive disruption to your business and your workforce. I know for me personally, being the events manager for WebMD Health Services, I loved going to conferences, right? Meeting face-to-face, I really got my energy from people, and now I'm totally struggling with how to navigate this new world that we live in. How can I continue to attend these events, but in a way that keeps my family, my husband, and my 2 small children safe and healthy, and keep my mental and emotional health in check? So I think now that I've kind of shared one of my workplace stressors with you, sadly, we know that 69% of employees state that it's safer to remain silent about their workplace stress. And while it's important to remember we have come such a long way in terms of well-being benefits, the data shows us that there really is a need to do more around mental and emotional health. WebMD Health Services, we conducted this survey at the start of the pandemic, and we found that 77% of employees reported that COVID has had a negative effect on their health and well-being. Over half of the respondents reported feeling more stressed or anxious, and nearly half reported feeling isolated from others. On top of that, 70% of employees say that their employers should offer mental and emotional health, but only 57 reported that their employers currently offer support. And I think it's probably safe to assume, again, right, this was at the beginning of the pandemic, so I think it's only safe to assume that these numbers have only increased in the past year. So I want to pause right there for a second. I want to throw it to all of you, our listeners, and start with a poll question. And I would love to know, are you currently offering a mental or an emotional health support for your employees? Take a second. The choices here are yes, we have a well-established mental and emotional support program already in place. Yes, we just started supporting our employees. No, but we are working on implementing more support. Or is this just not really a concern for you right now? You can only select one, so choose the one that best aligns with your organization. Okay, time's up. Let's see what you guys have to say. Oh, I love this. Yes, we have a well-established mental and emotional support in place. That's fantastic, and it looks like we are split with just starting or no, but we're working on it. Either way, these are all really great signs of progress. We know from our research that now more than ever, employees need easy and fast access to mental health solutions to really help to navigate and cope during this crazy time. I think it's important to remember that even if an employee is not currently experiencing those symptoms, it's time to be proactive and take a preventative approach by helping employees know how to cope and manage stress and be more resilient in the face of adversity. So this is all really great. Thank you for sharing that. I think we all can know that it is also time to raise the bar on mental and emotional health. You know, it's been so encouraging to see, I know, especially like on my LinkedIn, I see companies across the board that are implementing more flexible schedules, no meeting Fridays, summer Fridays. You know, we're even seeing employers making an effort to accommodate employees. And we know work is able to get done while employees are able to focus on the things that are important to them. But no matter where you are in terms of your mental and emotional health program, it's important to keep checking in with your employees. There's certain segments, teams, departments, different locations that are seeing an increased level of stress, anxiety, or burnout. And sometimes you just need more than that EAP to address those needs. So Textron is going to share a unique approach about how they were really able to tap into the needs of their employees and deliver a program that really resonated across their population. So let's meet today's speakers. First, I want to introduce you to Maddie Brown. Maddie is the Senior HR Service Analyst for Textron Aviation. She's been with them since 2014, and in her current role, she leads the company's well-being strategy. And today, she's joining us from her remote home office in Georgia. Hi, Maddie.
Hi, Julie.
Thanks for being here. And next we have, coming from her office in Wichita, Kansas, we have Paige Ross. And Paige is the HR manager for the Textron Employee Service Center, which is the center of excellence for all benefit and well-being related programs. And both she and Maddie work hand in hand to really take Textron's well-being program to new heights. Hi, Paige.
Hi, Julie. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. We are so thrilled to have both of you here with us today. So Paige, I'm going to hand it over to you to get us started.
Awesome. Thank you. So as Julie mentioned, Maddie and I work in human resources for Textron Aviation. Textron Aviation is an aircraft manufacturing company that is headquartered in Wichita, Kansas. You may be more familiar with the brand names of Cessna, Beechcraft, or Hawker, which are 3 main brand names that make up Textron Aviation. These brands account for more than half of the general aviation flying worldwide. We are an international company with more than 20 office locations around the world. We have over 10,000 employees located in the United States and around 700 located internationally. The majority of our 10,000 plus U.S. employees are located in the Wichita, Kansas area, which is where we are headquartered. We have 4 campuses there, and that's where I personally work. And then, as Julie mentioned, Maddie works remotely in Georgia. So now on to what we're here to talk about. Maddie and I are really excited to talk about our International Self-Care Week, which was the first ever for our company. To accurately take you along the journey of the creation of International Self-Care Week, I want to start by describing what our current climate was back in March, which is when we started putting efforts in motion that eventually led us to creating this special week for our employees. Of course, COVID-19 was on the top of everyone's minds and greatly affecting our workforce, as I think it has every workforce out there. It was in March that the vaccine was becoming more widely available in Kansas, and it felt as though we were starting to see a light at the end of a very dark tunnel. It also was approximately a year after the start of the pandemic, and just as a well-being team in general, we were doing a lot of reflection on all of the changes and added stresses that COVID brought to our employees this past year. We've also had new leadership over the past few years with a new CEO taking over. With him, he brought new culture goals to work towards for our company. He laid out a new mission and values that we make sure to keep in the forefront of our minds as we work towards different initiatives and projects. Be legendary and be human are 2 values that constantly stand out during our well-being planning sessions. Thirdly, and I don't think this is anything new to anyone, when it comes to well-being, people need to have the resources available and need to be able to make it a priority for themselves. With how crazy things have been this past year between employees having to battle between school closures for their kids, sick loved ones, quarantines, etc., we know that it's been even more of a juggling act this past year than it ever has been. As a team that supports our well-being efforts, we always strive to be able to provide the necessary resources to our employees and wanted to show them that well-being is something that we value as a company and that it is a priority for us. So between COVID-19's effects on our employees, the constant state of competing priorities that we all have felt this past year, and really thinking about our values, specifically the Be Human one, we wanted a way to gather feedback from our employees to really understand what had been weighing on them the most over the past year, because we wanted to be able to help them and provide those resources. This is the point in which we brought this up to our WebMD team, and they suggested utilizing their pulse survey feature. This was the first time that we had ever utilized this feature to collect feedback from our employees, and I have to say it was an extremely smooth process. We crafted the multiple choice question: what top challenges have impacted your well-being over the past year? And our account rep loaded it onto our WebMD portal. It was posted at the very top of the portal page to get our employees' attention when they logged on. And then once the employee took the survey, it actually disappeared from their homepage, so it was a very slick tool. Intentionally, it was designed to be a quick process for our employees, not something that they would have to sit and think about or take a long time to read through and evaluate. We launched the survey for our employees mid-March, and we ran it until mid-June just to make sure that we allowed enough time to get a solid amount of responses. Initially, when we put it out there, we didn't have any specific plans for how we would address whatever the most or the highest stressor was for our employees. We were really just intrigued to see how they would answer, and then we were going to craft a plan from there to figure out how we could help. So now I want to take the time to ask a polling question to you guys. What single challenge most impacted your well-being program over this past year? Shift in workplace culture, gaining leadership buy-in, employee burnout, or COVID-19? I'll give you around 30 seconds to answer, and then we can look at the results. Okay, well, overwhelmingly COVID-19, which I would think has also probably led to some employee burnout. So I definitely think we're all on the same page when it comes to that. Okay, well, thank you for sharing your insights with the group through the poll. And now we can see how our poll survey came back. We had 547 total responses, which we felt was a good response rate, especially for this being our first ever pulse survey. Overwhelmingly, though, the top answer was prioritizing self-care, with 42% of our employees selecting that response, and the rest of the responses were each below 20%. So just thinking through this, self-care is a very all-encompassing topic, so we wanted to do something that provided the necessary resources to our employees. Next, Maddie will walk through what our initial goals were and what the planning process looked like for us.
Awesome. Thank you, Paige. So and this is Maddie, by the way, everyone. Welcome. And as Paige stated, we launched the pulse survey really without knowing how the results would turn out. Once we did receive the final results and realized that there was the overwhelming response to prioritization of self-care, we knew that we wanted to go ahead and tackle that challenge. So from a business objective standpoint, we wanted to provide employees with meaningful self-care resources to help bridge the gap that they expressed in that survey. Now, going through the planning process, we wanted to ensure that we encompass 4 major pieces of this project or initiative. First, we wanted to make sure that we incorporated our new values that Paige talked about earlier, as well as our new culture climate that we've been working towards over the past several years. Secondly, we wanted to circulate our efforts around the International Self-Care Day, which falls on July 24th of each year. Thirdly, we decided on a week-long approach to this initiative because we wanted it to be substantial to employees and give really all employees a chance to engage with the activities and resources and be able to get as many people involved as possible and to have kind of a wide variety or full spectrum of wellness or self-care built into the week. And then lastly, we wanted to add an incentive to participation, which we thought would help drive engagement while also giving back to our employees and show them that self-care should be prioritized and that our leaders are supporting that message. So I will also take a moment here for a polling question to the audience. So the question should be up there on your screen, which is, do you think utilizing incentives is an effective way to promote engagement? So I'll give everyone about 30 seconds to answer this question, and then we can review the results. Okay, so we have the results here on the screen, and so it's interesting that no one said no on this, and it's either split between yes or depends on what the incentive is. So So these are good insights to have, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into the incentive that we had for Self-Care Week ourselves and why we chose that incentive. So we'll go into the next slide here, which I want to spend a few minutes to talk through some critical pieces of our Self-Care Week initiative, which is leadership buy-in as well as communication. So I believe Paige stated it earlier, but this is the first time that our company has led an initiative of this type. So it was very important to have leadership buy-in at every level. Once Paige and I created the business case for this initiative, we took it up to our director and went through the initiative with them, received feedback, made changes, updates, and then our director was able to take the business case to the senior VP of HR. Again, feedback, updates, and our SVP of HR routed it to her peer group and the CEO. So although this was an HR initiative, it was important to get buy-in from each functional leader and be able to have support from those leaders as well as the CEO prior to launching. So we knew it was something that had never been done before, and we wanted to make sure that leaders supported it and that we were also not just thinking from one point of view within HR. So we got some good feedback from our different functional leaders as well. So again, because it was a new initiative, we wanted to ensure we had solid communications plan in place. So we worked closely with our internal communications team on a plan to brand Self-Care Week, keep it fresh and exciting each day of the week. And our comms team was able to work with our SVP of HR to send out a kickoff email starting the week of Self-Care Week, which created a lot of buzz to begin the week. So in the previous two slides, you actually saw what our branding looked like for the International Self-Care Week. So that was used as part of the promotions throughout the week. And then going into our next slide, I'm sure you guys have been thinking maybe this whole time here, well, what did you guys do? Well, we wanted to, of course, give you some insight into what we did for Self-Care Week. So this is day by day, broken out of what we did each week. So as you can see, we started the week with a photo submission where we asked employees to submit a photo of how they depict self-care for themselves. We also posted a resource from the Wellness Council of America, which was their self-care toolkit. So employees could download that toolkit, use it as a resource as they needed it. So the photo piece, again, for the self-care aspect, again, we did not give any limitations or guidelines as to what that photo may look like. So we got a variety of submissions, and you'll actually see some examples on the next slide. But as we go into Tuesday, we offered a free sign-up for a self-care book that would be then mailed to the employee's home at a later date. And then Wednesday, we showcased our gym partnerships and fitness tracker discounts. And Thursday, we offered employees 2 options for virtual yoga classes. So employees were able to log in either in the afternoon, at noon, lunchtime, or in the evening at 7 o'clock Central Time and join that yoga class for free. And then finally, on Friday, we offered a download of a recipe book that we created with healthy and fun recipes for employees to cook with their families. So this was our self-care week outlined day by day. As I said earlier, from the communication standpoint, we started the week off with an email from the SVP of HR to all employees promoting the week and encouraging employees to participate. So we can go ahead and head into the next slide there. So this is probably my favorite slide of the presentation, only because it showcases some of our employees' self-care photos that they submitted. So these are just a handful of there were 140 plus photos submitted to us. So there was, like I said before, a variety of different activities or pets or grandchildren, children, so it was great to see that. And so some of them are featured here that you can see. And we took all of those photos and created a 5-minute video, which we showcased on our internal company website. And that video has over 1,000 views now, and the Executive VP of HR at our Textron corporate headquarters left a very positive comment on the video stream. So we were excited to see that. And from an incentive perspective, if anybody submitted a photo, participated in a free yoga class, or signed up to receive a free self-care book, they were entered to win extra vacation hours. And so we selected at the end of the week 500 winners, and each one of them won 10 extra vacation hours to their vacation bank. And that was announced the last day of the week, so Friday. And employees were very excited to receive that incentive. And then on the next slide, I will talk through some engagement metrics that we pulled for the week. So although we have over 10,000 employees, we did not get all 10,000 employees to participate in this initiative, but at the same time, we were very pleased with the outcome of engagement, considering, again, that this was the first time that we launched an initiative of this type. We had a total of 1,048 employees sign up for the book giveaway, and 147 employees submit a photo, and then 111 employees participated in one of the yoga classes. So some employees did participate in 1 or 2 or even 3 of the activities, which was great to see that employees were utilizing multiple activities and events. And overall, we had 1,152 total unique employees participate throughout the week. So those were some of our engagement metrics that we tracked throughout the week. We tracked day by day. Of course, we did have a lot of participation early in the week with the book giveaway and the photo submission. So that was good to see. But each day we had different people participate, which kind of goes back to us deciding for it to be a week-long initiative. Some people take vacation days, or they're out of the office for whatever it may be. So we wanted to make sure that it wasn't just a one-day event where people may miss out on participating. So that was key there. And then next we'll go into just some key takeaways throughout this initiative, and Paige will kick off this slide.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Maddie. So after the week ended, Maddie and I reflected on some key takeaways from that week. First off, I think it played to our benefit to understand what our employees were needing. The pulse survey was an extremely easy way to collect that data, and it enabled us to make informed decisions on what type of resources to supply. Secondly, we tied every activity and day with an incentive and built it up throughout the week to keep our employees engaged and excited for the following day. We intentionally selected a wide variety of incentives, which was crucial to making sure that we could touch all aspects of self-care, since there's such breadth just within that topic. And this was the first time that our company had ever given out vacation time related to a wellness initiative. And so I think that was considered a very valuable incentive, and that did lead to the higher engagement that we saw.
And then thirdly, I know we talked earlier about leadership buy-in, and that was absolutely key for us. This was our most successful well-being event that we've ever had. So we believe that the leadership support was definitely a contributing factor to that. And then lastly, including a variety of wellness activities and resources throughout the week helped employees to feel included and increase some of that engagement as well. So we wanted to make sure that we were thinking about self-care in multiple different ways and how employees can engage in different activities. And just as a lesson learned too, we would have liked to see more participation from our international employees, but that's something that we definitely want to take back for the future, and as if we do this initiative again. And overall, we would like to get a little bit more creative in how we can be even more inclusive in the future.
Awesome. Maddie and Paige, thank you guys so much for taking us through that. We've got a bunch of questions that have been coming in, so I can't wait to get to them. Just a reminder, if you guys do have questions, feel free to put them right there in your question box, and we'll get a notification. So we're going to kind of go through these questions here. First, I want to talk about, you guys talked about the leadership buy-in. How did you get your leaders to buy into the program and the incentive?
Yeah, so I can take this one.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Paige.
Yeah, no worries there. Yeah, we wanted to ensure that every level of leadership had buy-in, so that's kind of why we took it up the chain for the multiple leader levels, and then ultimately at the top, when our senior VP of HR spoke to all of her peers about it, they were able to then cascade the messages down through that, and then we also were able to provide leader comms specifically before the week launched to encourage leaders to reach out to their employees and encourage participation. So that was also very helpful. And then from an incentive perspective, we proposed several different options for incentives to our senior VPs, and they ultimately chose the option that they thought would be the most impactful to our employee base. So we proposed the options and let them make that decision.
That's great. And then Maddie, maybe you can answer this question. The photo submission that you were talking about, where did you have your employees submit the photos to?
Yeah, so we actually gave our employees two options. Our company uses Microsoft 365 for our company, so we're able to create a Microsoft form, which is basically, if you haven't used that before, just like a Qualtrics survey or quick application online that people can fill out and submit. So we actually use that as one route, so the Microsoft Forms route. And then we also have a shared email inbox for our well-being group. So we also were able to ask employees to just submit their photo via email to us. So that's how we were able to collect them.
Great. And how many questions, when we talked about the Pulse survey, how many questions did you include in your Pulse survey page? Do you want to take that?
Yeah, definitely. We chose to only include one question because we thought then it would really just feel like a quick and easy decision. I think people are really used to Pulse surveys and just, nothing you have to think about for a long time, just quick and easy answer. So we did one question with multiple choice answers. But I think you have the option to do more questions than that. Isn't that correct, Julie?
Yes. Yeah, so to answer this person's question for our Pulse surveys, you can ask up to 5 questions in each survey. So just heads up on that. Not sure if you mentioned this, but what time of year did you do Self-Care Week?
Yeah, so we did it this year in July. The end of July was the last week, July 26th through the 30th. So International Self-Care Day falls on July 24th of each year. So that's kind of where we centered our dates around.
That's great. And you guys also mentioned that you had the survey up from March to June, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And then were there any other incentives did you to give away other than the vacation days, or was that vacation days, that was the grand prize?
Yeah, so the vacation days or day is what I would consider to be the grand prize, but all throughout we tried to frame each day as having some type of incentive or giveaway. So we did the book giveaway, the free yoga classes, highlighted all of our discount programs that we have with other vendors, our local gyms around the area. And so we really just tried to frame it that way so it was fun and exciting every single day. Employees felt like they were getting something.
And then did employees have to participate in just one activity to qualify?
Yes, they had to participate in one of either the book giveaway, the yoga, or the photo submission. So just at least one of those to qualify for the incentive.
Great. What were some ways you communicated the self-care event? We always have employees say, I never heard about that. Does that sound familiar, Paige and Maddie? Does that resonate with you guys too?
Yeah, it does resonate. Yeah, so of course we communicated it initially with our senior VP sending an email directly out to each of our employees. So I think that was the most direct communication. From there, we had each day's updates on what's called ERIC, which is our intranet, and so it's a site that our employees are very used to going to, and so we have it at the top of the page with the updates each day. We also did that leader comm before we launched Self-Care Week, just so everyone from a leadership perspective was in the loop. And then, of course, we had cards on our Plain Healthy portal that also, if they clicked on that, would send them to the links that had all the Self-Care Week information in it.
Great, and I think we need a clarification here. So somebody said, wait, employees did one thing and they got 10 hours of vacation. Wouldn't that be the dream? But that actually wasn't the case. Maddie, will you clarify on how they were entered for the vacation?
Yeah, so they had to either participate in one of those 3 activities that I stated earlier. And so technically, yes, if they participated in one of those activities, they were entered into the drawing, and we selected 500 winners. So it wasn't an automatic bonus, I guess, incentive, but it was a random drawing And so if they participate in activities, they were entered into the drawing.
Great. There's a question here. Do you have any suggestions for incentives when you have no budget? Do you guys have any ideas?
Yeah, that is a good question. Like something that comes to mind for the week that we did that didn't require a budget was putting together the recipe book that we shared with everyone on Friday. So that was one way that we were able to get around having any type of budget associated. I also think, I'm not sure what each person or each company's individual different programs are, but sometimes I think employees, it gets overwhelming with, when they initially start with all of the options that are available to them. And it's really nice to just take a week or a day to just kind of put everything together in a package from a wellness perspective and share that with employees, just to remind them of the resources that are available without having to spend any additional money.
Great. Yeah, I think another one too is sometimes like raffle prizes for lower budget items, movie tickets, things like that are always something, a good incentive too, to kind of keep in mind.
Yeah.
Oh, and then here's another one. Thank you for this right here, incentive ideas with no budget. Someone said, depending on your work environment, but casual days always work great, which is awesome, especially, if you usually are business, being able to actually dress down is sometimes a welcome relief. Do you guys have any upcoming pulse surveys that you're going to do?
Yeah, so we actually currently have a pulse survey up on our WebMD One dashboard. The question asks employees, what is the best way to communicate well-being challenges and updates to you? And that's why I laughed, Julie, right, getting the feedback of employees not knowing when stuff is going on. So we really want to understand what the best method of communication is to our employees. So that is the same structure as the self-care week one. We only did one question, and we have a multiple choice answer options.
Great. And then also remind me, I know we talked about who was eligible to participate in this, and it was all of your U.S.-based employees. Was that hourly, or who was able to be involved in the program?
Yeah, so the self-care week was open to all employees, including our international employees. There were just certain restrictions based on different employee types and then where they were located. Like specifically for the international employees, we tried to spread out times to capture some of those different countries and their work time schedule. So just trying to be flexible with that and offer as many options as possible.
Great. Here's a question. I don't know if you guys would be able to answer it, but how did you have to encourage your leadership to really recognize that stress is real and that employees may need some flexibility and understanding, or were you really able to showcase and highlight that need through the pulse survey and the results, the overwhelming results that you got from that? Did that just kind of help state your case, or how were you able to encourage leadership?
Yeah, so we tried to take a data approach. So the pulse survey was one of the main factors, but I think it's obvious to everyone at our company that COVID has affected each and every employee. And so just when Maddie and I built out the business case, We tried to really use data-centric information to showcase that there are just some different data options that we have available to us. So the pulse survey was a large part of that, but that was the approach we took, and it seemed to resonate with our leadership team.
That's great. And then did you guys work with your EAP, if your company has one, or this was just completely separate from that and just an internal initiative?
Yes, so we do have an EAP, but we did not partner with them on this specifically. We have resources, especially from like a mental health perspective, that we're constantly publishing of theirs and pushing people to utilize those services, but this was a week that did not have any ties to our EAP.
Great. Perfect. Well, Maddie, Paige, thank you guys so much. What a great conversation. I want to thank everyone too for all of the questions. If we didn't get to your question, we will follow up with you so that we can get you the correct information and the right information. But I just want to say thank you to both Paige and Maddie. If anybody that's listening is interested in learning more about the pulse surveys or how you can really kind of tap into getting that insight from your employees, there is a contact us button right there on the home screen conveniently. Go ahead and just click that, and we will be able to get in touch with you and help answer any more questions that you might have. Reminder, there's going to be a survey that's going to pop up right after this, so please don't close out your browser. All I would ask is just you take 1 minute and fill out that quick survey. It really helps me and our team when it comes to providing future information for your webinars, and so I really do value your feedback, and I'm really appreciative of the time. So Paige, Maddie, thanks again so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we look forward to seeing all of you back on our next webinar. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.